Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second part of this multi-part series on Canon's Edge. Thank you so much for listening. I really have a lot of fun doing this, and I hope I can do it for a long time. So, in the last episode, Yoda told Ezra to go find Malachor. And I want to just back up a little bit to talk about what he said before that. In our arrogance, join the conflict swiftly we did. Fear, anger, hate, consumed by the dark side the Jedi were. A long time fought I did. Consumed by fear I was. Foresee it I did not. Yes, afraid. Surprised are you? The Jedi had gone, they've been eaten away for a long time by the grand plan. I mean, 1,000 years of Sith treachery in the background had been eating away at the Jedi Order. So they did have a full plate of problems on their hand by the time the Clone Wars came around. They were basically so ready to fight, so ready to join a conflict, that when they stumbled across a clone army, they just went with it. You ever think of that? Like Palpatine and his master in Legends are the ones who paid for the clone army and had it built and all of that. I don't know what the new canon's going to be around that, but it's going to be probably similar to it. And this clone army just pops out of nowhere when they need to fight a war. And just the fact that it was like, oh, Sifo Dyas ordered it. Okay, cool. I hope nobody checks the credit card bill or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like a giant free clone army pops out of nowhere. And so, hey, you're just right when you need to fight a war. Funny how that works, right? They didn't notice that. And I think Yoda is pointing towards that in these lines. He says, in our arrogance, join the conflict swiftly we did. Fear, anger, hate, consumed by the dark side we were. So go back to Malachor. Malachor holds an ancient Sith temple, right? It ends or causes a battle between Darth Vader and Ahsoka Tano. Fast forward, season 4, episode 13, where Ezra is brought to a world between worlds. And major spoilers for all of Rebels. If you don't want spoilers, you gotta go somewhere else. So in this portal world that Ezra finds a way into, he goes to a portal that shows Ahsoka and her fight with Darth Vader that he assumed she died on Malachor. And he was able to pluck her out right at the moment she would have died. This was amazing. This was absolutely amazing because I wondered how she survived that fight with Vader, because it looked like she was probably going to lose that, and I think she was going to. And Vader survives, of course, but I never knew what happened to her. No one did. And so, the Emperor desperately wants to get this portal because it seems to go beyond time and space. Distance doesn't seem to be an issue at all, because you can go from one point in time to another by walking a few feet or going for a little jog. But Ezra and Ahsoka are now inside this world inside of these worlds, right? And later on in the episode, Palpatine, ostensibly through dark side magic, is able to gain access to the portal somehow, possibly by sensing Ezra and Ahsoka in the portal. Seems to be that's who he's latching on to. It's alleged that in the world between worlds, one can change the past and possibly the future as well. So, you can imagine how much Emperor Palpatine would have absolutely loved that. While saving Ahsoka from a solitary death, wouldn't change her impact on the timeline too much, since she wouldn't have done anything after that. Um, Ezra couldn't, for example, save Kanan from his death because Kanan died saving Ezra and everybody else. So if he pulled Kanan out of that, maybe Ezra would still be alive because he exists in that portal, but everybody else he would have saved would have definitely died. And Ahsoka is wise enough to figure this out on the fly, because I think I would have been like, oh, well, yeah, it seems like you can change everything, so yeah, save him. And then Ezra would disappear, and I would be like, oh, oops. Like, Back to the Future kind of thing. And with this power, Palpatine would have been unstoppable, right? But yet, I think Yoda knew things would turn out okay. It's possible that Yoda had been to that place before. Perhaps it's been alluded in other material. I just don't know about it. I don't think I would have missed that. Let me know if I did, because that would be really, really awesome. But I think it's possible he went to this place, and in that place, Yoda could have seen everything that would have happened in the future, including Luke giving up even after Yoda trained him, even after everything that happened with the First Order after the Empire. When Obi-Wan said, "That boy's our last hope," and Yoda said, "There is another," I think he was talking about Rey. And that brings me to the next part of this discourse. Yoda knew it was time for the Jedi to end. Possibly he had witnessed the distant future in the world between worlds. He knew about Palpatine and the Final Order, and knew about Rey becoming all of the Jedi to defeat Sidious through the power of attachment, and or attachment with Ben Solo. She could have not beaten Sidious by herself. She said so in the book of The Rise of Skywalker. Without the attachment and love she felt with Ben, and the subsequent union with all the previous Jedi, which was pretty attaching, the Final Order would have ruled the galaxy and perhaps on to more of the universe. In the book, she says if it wasn't for her connection with Ben, she wouldn't have been able to resist what Palpatine was giving her. It was just too strong. He was basically a god. I mean, the Sith called him a god consciousness. And he had become this kind of force entity. He was going to rule everything. I mean, he was so close to it. But if it wouldn't have been for her attachment with Ben, then that would have happened. In Legends, Luke builds a very different Jedi Order. Attachment's not seen as a bad thing. Luke gets married, has a son. Jedi go on to get married, have children and grandchildren who are all in the Order. Which brings me back to Ahsoka and Episode 6 of the Book of Boba Fett. Again, if you haven't listened, if you haven't listened to that podcast, maybe you should go back and give it a real quick listen. It'll make this one make more sense. Ahsoka sees what happens to Anakin. She even gets to face him as Darth Vader. She has also met Luke Skywalker and commented on just how much like his father he was. She had a lot of time to think about this. It looks as if she went back to Malachor through the portal at the end of that episode in Rebels, but I don't know what time that had been. It could have been the future, past, present, but I think it's where the Ahsoka series might start. And that's going to lead me into the next episode in this. So keep some things in mind. Attachment, Ahsoka, Luke, Grogu, and may the Force be with you. See you in the next one.